Standing on the edge of the Bank of America building, my eyes on the ledge, forward or back, either way I'm dead. Sweat pouring down my face, mixed with tears, it's a salty taste. I'm totally numb to the cold weather. 22 shots of rum don't make me feel better. You march right through my life with disappointment and confusion. You ain't right. I'm in the dark in broad daylight. Things I thought you'd never do or say got me on 22nd and 8th Avenue. Is this where I ended up? 22nd and 8th Avenue. Is this where I take the fall?
Hello everyone, this is your Mid-Michigan media maven and your TV personality for the Connection TV show. You know who this is. This is Angela. Now you know we travel across the United States of America. I'm here with somebody right now, but you're going to have to wait until I introduce them to you. But for now, we want to just say we're in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. For those of you who have kept the faith, those of you who are still fighting for the cause, we love you, we support you, and we thank you for giving us an example of how to live this life each and every day. So please stay on that battlefield, because there are those who do love you, who support you, and support something for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Also, today happens to be a very special day. It's on the calendar, but don't too many people know about it. Sweetest Day. But guess what? I got the best sweetest day and the best sweetie who's here with me. Let me introduce my guest. His name is Mr. Terrell Carter. How you doing?
Wonderful. How you doing, baby?
Oh, I'm great. Tall, dark chocolate, and he with me today. Okay, so y'all just gonna have to watch this interview and be jealous. But anyway, so what brings you to our city, the city of Detroit, Michigan?
Detroit, Michigan. Well, I'm here doing a show from Miss Hip Sherry Henderson, and it's called Calling the Kettle Black. We opened last night, and tonight is the final night. And so I've been here rehearsing and doing that all week. And anybody who knows me, I've done stage plays a long time.
Right.
This is one of the best shows. It's just full of laughter, full of lessons, full of love, full of everything. So hopefully they'll come out and see it tonight at the Millennium Theater.
Okay. Now you said that you've done shows.
Yes.
So I remember this play with Tyler Perry, and it was this stage, and it had all of these, compartments. But man, why does the women always play on you? What's up with that?
I did 3 Tyler Perry plays. Actually, the first play is the only one they played on me. I played on the second one. I cheated on my wife. That was Meet the Browns. And then the third one, I was just sleeping with all the women in the hospital. That was done with that. So
I was just like, oh my goodness, when he sung that song, and you would kind of crawl into it like, baby, please,
that was Meet the Browns.
Please take me back, take me back. I was like, well, you ain't even got to crawl. You come on back. It's all good. So listen, thank you so much for being with the Connection. Really do appreciate it. We want to talk about a few things. A man of faith in this industry. It takes a lot, to sustain a person. So let's talk about how your faith has kept you, as well as maybe propelled you to the next level. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I think that, it's so funny that I've just transformed even over the years of growing up in church and growing up with, I've gotten to the point where even my faith has been tested so much that I had to just sit back and say, God, what is this that you're doing? Because I had no idea. There were times where I just had no idea, and I realized so long, and I'm at a place in my life where I'm so much more about relationship than religion and tradition. And so once I decided and got to a point where I could really get closer to God, and this is just for me, it was better for me, and I could get closer to God and be so concerned with just my relationship. I got to the point where there were certain things that started happening in my life that I knew that it couldn't be anything else but that.
Okay.
So I just never, I've been one of those people that I can say, it just never failed. Never failed. It's just always been, and I've always lived my life in a way that the answer and the next step was never clear. Never clear. Wow. I never knew what was next. Didn't care either. I never wondered and waited for the safety net. I've never had the type of career, or I never had the type of. I was never the type of person who thought, oh, you know, well, I better make sure I got a plan B. I never thought of plan B.
Really?
Never thought of plan B. I always knew that this would be what I would do. I always knew it would work, and I always knew that it would be a non-traditional way for me. It's not the same as, you know, everyone else, but I can constantly continue to build.
Wow, that's very interesting because a lot of times we're told to make those plan Bs. You know, do the plan A, do the plan B. You know, what's the safety net? So that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. I just remember, it's so funny, I remember some interview with Eddie Murphy, and he says, I never had another plan. I never had another idea. He says, I focused so much on what I wanted. And I've always remembered that, but I also always just felt, you've given it all to me. And if I don't make the right moves, I still will be, it still has to happen. But you've given it all to me that I know that I can make this happen the way that you've given it to me for it to happen. So I didn't make a plan B.
Okay. What would you say to that person, and we're just having conversations, who they don't know? I mean, they don't know. Maybe they're on the verge of giving up. You know, a lot of young people want to come into this industry, but they really don't know all the dynamics of it.
I think that people see the glamour and they see, you know, the record sales, or they see, you know, you performing in front of people. But what they don't know is that for that one time that you've seen me on stage, there's been 150 times that someone told me no, or I didn't get the job, or you know, I had to press on and try some other door because this door was closed. I'm a firm believer that, you know, sometimes it's a blessing behind closed doors. I've had doors closed in my face, and I'm standing there thinking, what am I going to do now? And then something else opened up that was 10 times better that I would have gotten if I was occupied over here. But one thing this show is about, I was saying, real thoughts and real talk. Real talk to young people. This isn't for, Fred Hammond used to say something, because I started with him. He used to say, this isn't for the squeamish. It's not for somebody who, if you just want something overnight, if you want to just throw all your eggs out there and think that they're going to just, you know, scramble tomorrow, some seeds out, you think you're going to wake up with a tree in the morning, that's not going to happen. The hard work that you have to put in this, and you have to believe in yourself even when your mama says it's not going to work for you. I've had people in my family tell me, you know, you'll never make it, but I saw some of the on Instagram and some other things, they have those little memes where people will write different things, and something said, a quote that said, the people that told you that you would never make it will be those same people who will tell everybody in your neighborhood how they knew you. And that's exactly what has happened in so many ways. I've gone home to family members that are family members who completely discouraged me. And you know, when I walk in, they were screaming louder at the family reunion than anybody. So.
Wow. Gives them a little what do they call it? I can't think of it right now. Booster card, so to speak, a bragging card, right. Some bragging rights.
But
you know.
One thing that I've learned, and I can say to young people, is for me, it doesn't matter how many people discourage me, but it doesn't also matter if they're promoting me. Either way, I can have people yelling and screaming my name, or I can have people telling me I can't do it. I have this one-track mind of, okay, this is what my goal is, this is what I need to do, and this is the way I need to feel while I'm doing it. And neither way, I'm never swayed neither way. I don't need a whole bunch of people saying, you can do it, you can do it. It feels good, but if they don't, I'm still going. So that to young people, I always say, you don't need to have a cheering squad, and don't worry about the haters either. Either way it goes, you have to be sure that this is what it is that you know you can do, and always be real with yourself. One thing that I've always been is real with myself. I can have an argument with somebody, and I'll always be thinking, if it's a situation, I have no problem saying I'm sorry. Most people usually know when you're wrong. I'm the type of person, I can say this. I can sing, I can act, I can do those things. I'm not the best dancer. I'm not the type of person who can build a building out of whatever. Know what it is that your craft is, and hone in on that, and take care of that, and then go forth in that. Don't say you want to do something that you absolutely know you can't do just because you like it, and then you're upset because it fails.
That's good. I was just thinking about all of these reality shows, because you touched on something about the glitz and the glam, and you want to get it now. But the reality shows, you know, is teaching our young people that buffoonery pays off. Right. If you act a fool in front of the camera, you liable to get a few ducats. Right. And so I think that they're chasing that, not realizing that when you see a Terrell Carter, you know, on the scene, in a play, in a movie, it's because he's paid some dues. is because he's still behind the scenes with the acting, with the singing, you know, sharpening that craft.
Right.
So that's a good word for the young people. Now you touched on something with your goals and knowing what you want to do. So let's talk about the future of Mr. Terrell. Tall, dark, handsome. And he is such a nice person. When I first met him, I just break it a little bit. He just gave me this huge hug, and I'm gonna tell you, he don't even know how I was feeling because I was feeling a certain kind of way. Like, what am I gonna say to this person? So thank you very much. Now back to the interview. Okay, so about the future, what's in it for Mr. TC? If you don't mind me saying TC. Okay. Future projects. What are you working on?
Well, I'm working on a book right now, and I think that when I decided to do this book, my story is a lot of people have gone through a lot of different things, broken homes and everything. My story is a little different because my mom was 11 years old when she had me, but she was raped by my father, who was 23 at the time, and he was kind of from the same family. So it was a story that was just, I started in a situation that was already kind of broken down and crazy and just weird, and you know, at the time especially, you know, and my mother was handicapped. She had one leg amputated at birth, and organs never fully developed. And so for me to then become this guy, you know, and everything that I go back and look at, I knew before I started writing, I thought, you know, this isn't a coincidence. You know, for me to become this guy and then look identical to my father, who of course had to completely deny that he did this to this girl, but then I look identical to him, so then I had all of those identity issues of thinking, you know, not wanting to look like this guy, and then finding out and realizing why now I do look like him. And when I started writing this book, I started realizing as I wrote the different characters in my family and the things that happened, people that I never held grudges, or I forgave them for me, because it took a long time that I had to forgive my father for me, because I just couldn't have a good relationship. I couldn't have good friendships. It was always a problem, but I had to end up forgiving him. But I did, once I started writing about him, my grandmother, I saw people in a total different. I started figuring out why my grandmother was who she was. There were certain things about her that were so harsh. She would never say, I love you, and you know, she was the type, and this is my mom's mother, and she would never say certain things. And then I realized, well, this is why. As I'm writing what happened to her and how she navigated through things, I said, well, okay, now I totally understand. It's so crazy how I'm living my life all over again, and even before I was born, I'm now seeing why people are who they are, and why, you know, that I was given what I was given, and the cards that I was dealt. It all just set me up for what I'm doing.
Wow.
So, a book, basically.
A book.
Is what I'm
when
doing
is
next.
it? When is it coming out?
Next year. Next
year.
And
2016.
2016. I wanted it to be a little bit earlier, but when I started diving into this, I don't want to rush this. I want to make sure that I'm giving the reader everything that that I feel inside, everything that I had to deal with. I want every emotion, things that people have ever wondered or asked. I want to put it out in this book to where this can really help somebody, and really they can have a different understanding than just me saying it. And it's going to be an audio book, so it's going to be in my voice. I'm going to read the entire thing, and it's going to also be scoring, musical scoring, and songs within the book. That will be my next record.
I've never heard about that.
Yeah, no, you haven't.
That's why it's called the future. I get it.
That's why I'm doing it.
I get
Well,
it.
I wanted to do it because it's also like the plays. You know, the plays that I've been in, I want the scoring. I want them to be taken on a ride that when they're done, it is just that they just can't believe what they've just heard. And I think everybody always wants that with their projects, of course. But I think that my story is already something that when I start talking about it, people already sit there and listen to it. But I want to take them there. I want to narrate it in a way that they can really feel what I'm saying.
Okay.
And coming from me would be the best way.
Now, has this become sort of like maybe even a healing tool for you as well with writing the book?
Absolutely, because even when you forgive people, there's still remnants of what happened still left. I'm a firm believer in forgiving, but I'm not a firm believer in forgetting. I just do not believe in that. I believe if you've done something to me, I can forgive you, but you won't get a chance to do it again. And if I ever see that you're moving into that you know, if you're living and you're moving into that again, it will never happen to me again. And I will always remember that, you know, this is a situation. I can heal from a situation. I can always go on. I don't hold a grudge against you. But I'm going to remember what happened because that's just how I operate. I don't believe in forgive and forget. But I will say it has definitely been a healing for me to be able to get to a place in life as you just live. I was just talking to some of my friends where I'm at a place where I just want only the things and people around me that make me happy and serve the purpose and pushing me forward. And
Say that
I'm
again.
doing it.
That was good.
I'm at a place where I want only the things and people around me that make me happy and that are serving the purpose and pushing me forward and where I'm going. I want to be at a place where I'm not always giving. I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm dragging somebody all the time. I don't want to be in a friendship where I'm always turning around to make sure you're following me. I don't want that. I want something that people are pouring into me as well, especially being an entertainer, where I'm always on stage giving, and then I go to my hotel room and close the door, and then there's nothing left for me. I need those people that are in my immediate circle to be people that I can count on for that same thing. So I'm always setting that up and searching for that and looking for that, and I have no problems cutting the other folks out. And you can be there's one. I don't need to walk out the door and wonder if you're my friend or if if you have something to say about me, or if that's the case, you won't be in my community. So I've done it like this now, and now there's nothing wrong with that.
Wow.
I had a Instagram quote that I put up. There are 7 billion people in the world. Why do I need to have a few people around me that I can't trust or that I don't know if you really love me? I want to go find the ones that I know got my back.
Preaching.
That's it.
Okay, now you get stirred up. Trying to keep my focus. Okay, there is something. You talked about the book, but you've also got some other projects, right? So kind of tell a little bit about that, and then I want to get into something that I keyed in on, and I don't think a lot of people know about your giving spirit, and the organizations that you give to. So let's talk about those other projects that you've got coming out.
Absolutely. Well, I did this movie I started in Iraq first of all, and then ISIS
What
rebels.
did you in Iraq?
I know. When the director called me and asked me would I come and do this movie in Iraq, I never had any doubts. I never even second guessed it. Didn't think twice. I told him I was like, absolutely. It's one of the and now the Lionsgate has picked it up, and the people who did the whole Halloween saga, the Halloween series, they've taken the movie too. The movie's called Curse of Mesopotamia. And when he first told me, I thought, I don't know about that. I love horror movies, but this movie is more of a thriller, a psychological thriller, and it takes place in
This is different for you.
Yeah, very different. That's
Okay.
why I took the character. I'm playing a gladiator and all of that kind of stuff, so I had to go through all this sword fighting training and all that. But it takes place in 600 BC and in the present. So you play two characters, and in the present I play a sports agent, but there's this thing that's chasing 4 people around that we can't get to sleep. It's not like Freddy Krueger or nothing. It's something that's even more deep and psychological, that you can't sleep at night. And some people I've had it for 10 years, one girl had it all her life. And so we're seeing the psychiatrist. So the psychiatrist finally tells us, after she studied us, listen, you guys are talking about the exact same thing, and this is what you've said it was. It's the citadel in Iraq, which is like the castle where the earliest civilizations were. So she decides we should go there and see what, how we figured out, well, when we go there and we stay in this thing, it opens up the dream even more, and we find out that we were all friends in another life, but we freed this king, we freed these slaves, and we killed this king. This is actually a true story this is a true Iraqi legend, but it actually happened. He kind of just embellished on the story like they did with Titanic. We knew the Titanic sank, but the love story within it, they built that around it, so the story would be, so that's what the director did. And in 600 BC, the cinematographics, the way that they did it is so different. It's kind of like 300, the way they did 300.
Right,
so
that
you
was
see
good.
the huge warriors. I look humongous in this, and so we're cutting each other up with the swords, and it's like it was 300 people fighting in this huge thing. We went to Iraq first, but then the ISIS rebels thing happened. It got a little crazy, so then they moved the filming to Jordan, and we were fighting in this thing. And I remember it was so cold out. It was about as cold as it is out there, and I had on this little leather thing and nothing else, and the sword, and we had to just go out there. And I remember thinking, God, this is why I said I will be faithful, and I know that you'll be faithful to me. And I knew that my faith would bring me to this point. I was just in freezing. I was talking to one of the other actors, and we were having such a great time. And they were telling me, because all the actors were from different countries. He wanted it to be a world movie. So one of the other guys, he was like from a Latin country, I think he was from Barcelona. He was talking to me and he was saying about his struggles and how he's been trying to do things for, and over there now he has a television show. And we were laughing and we were saying, it's so crazy. So many people see us doing this kind of thing and they have no idea what we have to go through. My hands were cut up because of the cold and the thing, but I had so much satisfaction just standing there and seeing that. But anyway, I just had to kind of go off.
No, I'm like all into it. Like,
but
okay,
that movie,
I want to see the movie.
Yeah, I'm so excited about what they came out with. We had a chance to view it first because at first I didn't know what to do. I thought, okay, maybe it's gonna be like a B horror movie. I was so excited about the final outcome. So I'm waiting for that. Waiting for that to get ready. Whatever they're gonna do with it, they wanted to do Halloween, but they didn't want to rush it again. They wanted to make sure that they had proper promotion time, and it's a world movie. They want to release it everywhere. So I'm excited about that.
Okay, we're gonna make sure that we're supporting this book.
Yes.
We're gonna support this movie. Support the book. Support the movie. And then I know that you have a very successful musical career. Carlito's Way, and then you wrote some other songs. So let's talk a little bit about. Do you have a new project coming out with your music?
Well, the new project that's coming out will be the one that I'm going to have all entwined in my book, in my inside my book. Yeah. Inside my book. So that's going to be the new project, and it's like I said, the book is going to be an audio book, and I'm going to have scoring throughout it, but I'm going to have all the songs through it, and the songs that are within the audio book will be my new album.
Oh,
yes.
Genius!
Yeah. So you can buy it either way. When you can buy the book, but then it's sold separately as an album too. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm liking this out of the box thinking and doing stuff.
You have to. You're an independent artist.
I like that.
Independent artist, you got to think out of the box.
Goodness gracious. Okay, I know that you have to go and preserve your voice and everything because he's doing this wonderful play. He's in this wonderful play this evening at Fox. Well, by the time we truly aired this, it would have passed. But what I want you to do is I want you to get on Facebook. I want you to get on Instagram, and I want you to support Mr. Terrell Carter. I've always called him TC in my own personal life. Because he is doing some wonderful things. He is an awesome young man. He's in this, he knows about it, and as you heard about his faith, he's got a very prosperous future. He's told you a little bit about himself being the man, but now he's going to share something with you about his passion. He is a philanthropist, for those of you who did not know, so he is a giver, and he does give back. And so tell us what organization, or maybe a couple of them, that are close to your heart that you give to.
Well, first of all, with this being breast cancer awareness, that in itself, I've had a few friends. Being here in Detroit, one of my very, very, very close friends. She used to work with the Winans and so many other people, and we kind of left the whole gospel side, not left it, but we started doing more R&B stuff together. And that's what we both got. It was so funny because we used to get so much flack back then, but now everybody's trying to cross over. Okay. But we got flack back then, and her name is Kayla Parker. And she worked for so many people. She was one of the best vocal arrangers I know, and she found out she had breast cancer, and she had actually was treated and everything, but she did end up passing away from it. And it never hit close to home until certain things hit close to home, but when it's someone that you really care about, and then my mom died of cancer, and my father also died of cancer. So, I always have a heart for the whole breast cancer foundation, any of the breast cancer foundations, and I always want to definitely let them know that they have my support. But I just have a heart for young people. And I had a chance to speak at so many different high schools. One was in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, with one of my close friends, who I call Mama D, Miss Darlene Myers, who helped me be able to go and speak at a high school who they had never even had anybody black speak at their high school. This was last year, something like that, really close. And and it wasn't. I've always been the type. I don't know what it is that I've never had the race cards in my mind. I just never lived life with that in my mind. But I guess that was the first time that I thought to myself, where it was in Shippensburg and Pennsylvania. So when they told me that, it was just before I went on. So I'm thinking to myself, what is getting ready to happen to me out here with these kids that have never seen, and it's in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, but yet at the same time, I'm still thinking it's in America.
Right.
So what, it was the turning point of my career, of opening up new doors in my career. It was the turning point where I realized that me giving on stage was not enough. And I realized that there were so many people and young people, and it didn't matter what race, creed, whatever the situation was, that they needed something else. And I got just as much fulfillment speaking to those kids and coming down and at the aftercare and of having them being able to contact me and some of them opening up to me. And the first few minutes of speaking to them, the football team was the most, they were the ones who were just the most, they were into it the most. And that's usually not the case. So that let me know, there are young people just hungry and waiting for someone to just say, I'm listening. I got you. Let's talk about this. And to talk about this and not talk down to them and forget that it was us one. I remember it clearly when I was sitting in that auditorium in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, and I've been, I always wanted to be an adult and the type of person that spoke to children and let them know, no, I completely understand. And I know where you're coming from. It's not stupid, it's not silly, it's not me, I'm not going to just tell you to do as I say and not as I do. We want to get to the root of the problem, and we want to say, let's fix this together. And you can fix it. I want you to, not necessarily, I do want you to understand and respect me as an adult, but understand that I care about you on your level, and I understand where you are. I totally get that. So that's where I kind of pick myself as I travel now around the country, speaking to high schools and grammar schools and grade schools and kids that, they see me in the Tyler Perry plays and movies and other things. So that opens the door for them first off, and then they don't expect what I do. And it's more than just getting them involved. It's finding out where you are, and then when I leave, to still have, an aftercare to say, how are you guys doing? And when I get calls from principals to say, I just want to let you know, they still talk about you, you really do make a difference. And then I have some kids where I'll call and say, now you promised me that if I, sat down and talked to you, or I sang a song to you, that you would do this, and you didn't do that. So
you mean you?
Oh, absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
Call the kids?
Call back and say that.
Oh, wow.
I had it where another student of mine, he wanted to do acting and stuff. I still keep in touch with him. He'll DM me on Instagram now. I don't usually speak back to him because I can't,
Right.
And then you have to be very careful when speaking to kids, so you have to be careful. But I want to always make sure they understand. I'm not doing this for publicity. Definitely, when I go and speak, it's definitely not for money. It is definitely because I remember being that young person that had absolutely nobody to speak to and tell me, you know what, you can really do this. I just always had it in my mind that I could really do this.
Okay.
But that's it.
Well, listen, take my hand, because this is Sweetest Day. He's my sweetie for this moment. I'm gonna just love this up, y'all. I got to. Listen, thank you so much. You heard the man. You heard about his faith. He talked about his future, and he talked about his passion. Now, I get the feeling that he probably shared some stuff with the Connection TV show that maybe you have not heard of or maybe not even read about. So thank you so much for feeling, comfortable enough to do that.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we're going to look for that book.
Yes.
And we're going to look for all the other projects that you do. The Connection is definitely on your team.
Thank you so
So,
much.
we'll do whatever that we can.
Yes, and
okay?
I'm definitely coming back.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
with the Connection for the Sweetest Day on Saturday here in the gorgeous Detroit. As I say, be blessed, stay blessed. That's Real Thoughts. And with Mr. Terrell Carter, it was the real talk that went on today.
Standing on the edge of the Bank of America building, my eyes on the ledge, forward or back, either way I'm dead.